I feel very close to Archangel Michael. I feel his presence. And in one of the hostings, while I was meditating, and I was going through a phase of being very fearful for death, for illness, and that is when he completely cured me. So I was in a meditative pose, in meditation, and I could feel his presence and his sword going across my body, and it completely took away, the fear attached to these things. Mystical experiences, one of them was very brilliant, and the happiest for me is I saw a rainbow. So it was raining, and then suddenly it stopped, and there was sun. And I went out in the balcony, and I saw one rainbow come out, and then another rainbow come out, and it was a double rainbow there, and I was so gleeful, blissful. And I turned back, and I was just about to enter the living room, and I could feel energy all through my body. So there was a presence of something. I could feel it. I couldn't move, so I could feel it running up and down, and like all my chakras have opened, or I didn't know what.
Hi, this is Akanksha. If you're new here, please subscribe to my channel. If you resonate with me, please like, comment, and share. Welcome to Multidimensional Soul podcast and a talk show. On this show, we talk about deep spiritual and mystical experiences of people which we normally shy away talking about. We are more than our physical body, we are spiritual beings on a human journey, and we discuss how a soul exists on multiple dimensions. We discuss science, technology, and spirituality point of views and perspectives on this show. Our purpose is to open our minds to limitless possibilities and our hearts to love and shine the light within bright. Our guest today is Gauri Joshi. She is a leadership and behavioral facilitator and a corporate trainer, and her specialization is in cross cultural programs. She is a certified NLP practitioner, and she's a holistic healer. She is a grandmaster in Reiki. She's an angelic card reader and a believer in Hawaiian Ho'oponopono practice. And she's an ardent follower of Louise Hay. In today's episode, she talked about her mystical experiences. One experience which was very different was with Archangel Michael, and she talked about her experiences when she was going through a lot of panic and fear and how she could overcome that. She also talked about some blissful experiences. She has talked about how to overcome fear, and she also talked about her experiences in the corporate world, how she actually applies her intuition and energy techniques in the corporate world whenever she is facilitating her workshops. Spiritual experiences and energy work are very experiential, and it's no longer considered woo woo even in the corporate world. Let's dive deep into this episode. I love talking to Gauri. I hope you love this episode too. We have with us today Gauri Joshi. A very warm welcome, Gauri. It's lovely to have you here on Multidimensional Soul talk show and a podcast.
Thank you so much, Akanksha, for having me. It's a great opportunity for me.
Can you talk about how did you get into spirituality? Is it something that you did from childhood, or was there any particular incident which was a major shift for you?
So, spirituality began for me in the childhood. Um, so, it started off with having a religious family around you, who would get into sadhana, chanting, doing puja on a daily basis. So, that is how the milieu was created. And going through that, attending certain discourse, in temples along with my ajji, that's my grandmother. So I automatically started taking to it. There was something that appealed to me in the course of things. Whenever there used to be puja, whether it was a simple thing as lighting a diya or a agarbatti, would also bring about a good change within me, and that I have observed through my childhood, through my youth. So it started off with that, and then when I unknowingly started doing meditation, so it was not a very knowing act. uh, it was just sitting and doing, for example, trata, observing, looking at the candle or looking at a certain god's swaroop or photo for that matter. It started off with that. However, uh, later I also started getting, I started seeing, so this was very early youth, I would say. So this was one part of the spirituality. The other part was the knowing or the sensing part. And I started seeing numbers. So a lot of times I would know, okay, this is what I would get in a certain exam, how much percentage, or for that matter, even seeing 1111. But I could not interpret it. I didn't know how to decode it. I did not know the significance of it. I just went along with it. Okay, I see these numbers. I did not know what to do with it. A while later, I also started seeing visions. Yeah, very clearly. So you could call it vision, you could call it a dream, and they started coming true. So it could be something positive, it could also be something not very positive. So I saw them coming true, as simple as meeting friends. And it's something that is unexpected, and I see that, and after a while it happens, it unfolds in reality. Also, some negative visions could be, my grandfather passing away, a very clear cut vision. And in a couple of days, I see the same scene in front of me in reality, which was which was shaking me from inside. I didn't know what to do with it, because if it is positive, well and good. If it is negative, how do I handle that? So I also, there was some fear attached to it, certain knowing, also. Before my parents parted ways, there was some knowing in my mind that maybe something of this sort is going to happen. I could not translate it, but it was there. Seeing certain visions attached to my father, attached to other relatives, that would happen. So this is how it started unfolding for me, and I call this spirituality, because this is you, when you are in touch with the divine. Okay, they're trying to give you some messages. We call it intuition, we also call it, clairvoyance, or I don't know how to word it. However, this is what I started with as a young girl, I would say.
Okay. So getting these premonitions and visions as a young girl must be very difficult for you. Did you face any challenges while growing up, discussing these things with your parents or elders?
Yes, challenges in terms of, first, I wouldn't say anything about it. I didn't know for myself. I didn't believe what was happening. And a little later, then I started talking about it with my mother, or some guru or some healer saying that she has some power, you know. So sometimes people would believe me, sometimes may not. So I started sharing things that, this is what I've seen, this is what I've heard, this is what came to my. However, a very, so people believe there's intuition, each one has some intuition, and I think they let it be at that. And I also took it that way. Some people have certain stronger sense, sixth sense or intuition power, and this is what it was for me at that stage.
Yeah. Was there at any point that you sense some kind of fear? Because positive and negative is, of course, contextual,
Yeah.
but obviously, somebody is dying, and those kind of visions are little scary.
Yeah.
So, how did you overcome fear in those cases?
So I saw that if I get fearful, so through experience, if I get fearful, uh, that message would not reach me, you know. And that is how I started maybe overcoming fear, if we call it fear. Also, later in life, a lot of things started. So when my actual spiritual journey started, let us say around 2015, I came in touch with the angels, and I instantly took to them, so I started hosting. And in one of the, so there was fear always attached, but somehow, we believe in certain deities, or we believe in ascended masters, Swami Samartha being one, or one of them. So he always guided me. So he somehow, with the belief, the faith in him, would give me the strength to face that. A little later, as I said, coming back to the angel hosting, so I started hosting angels. So we believe that there are archangels. We have, the 5 or the 7 archangels, and uh, I feel very close to Archangel Michael. I feel his presence, and in one of the hostings, while I was meditating, and I was going through a phase of being very fearful for death, for illness. And that is when he completely cured me. So I was in a meditative pose, in meditation, and I could feel his presence and his sword going across my body, and it completely took away the fear attached to these things. And that is how then, I even when I host angels, I invite them, there is no fear attached. I know there are right energies coming into my abode and guiding me. So I surrender. So I think, in a way, when you surrender to these positive energies, when you bow down to the divine, it automatically guides you. So you just have to be open and receptive, is what I feel. Yeah.
Beautiful. Such powerful experience of Archangel Michael.
Yeah.
And you also talked about Swami Samartha. And for our viewers, I would like to just briefly talk about Swami Samartha. He's one of the ascended masters, especially worked in Maharashtra, which is a big state in India. And in Marathi, he has a saying, "Bhiu nokos, mi tujha patishi आहे." Means don't be afraid. I'm always behind you, or I'm protecting you. So, can you talk a little bit about your experiences with Swami Samartha, and if you have any more experiences with Archangel Michael? Because now, more so, there is so much of panic and fear, and there's so much of chaos in the world. And there are wars happening, there is unrest at certain places, and we hear some very strange incidents also taking place where they are very scary, so to say. And panic and fear is a paradigm in which majority of the people are there right now. And as we are ascending, we definitely need to change this and change from fear to higher vibration, to love.
Yeah.
So, can you share your experiences which can definitely benefit you?
Sure. But starting with, I'll go back to Swami Samartha, the ascended master, and my complete faith in him. One incident that I would like to share, and how it only strengthened my faith in him, is I was a couple of years back. I was at Munich airport, and rather than traveling early in the morning, I took the train and reached the airport in the night. Okay. Uh, and I was unaware that the airport's closed down. The terminals completely closed down. I went inside, checked in, security happened, everything happened, and I went and sat very peacefully. Now that everything is done. And after a while, I started seeing that all the people sitting there, the staff who was cleaning staff and all that, they started, their number started receding. So one by one, it came to a point that no one was there at the airport. They'd also locked up the gates. And that is when I got panicky, So I thought, oh my God, what is happening? I have never experienced this. And then I realized that they lock up the airport. And I was the only person out there. So definitely I didn't want to be. I said, what if there's some emergency and what if, I need something? I just sat down and I started praying fiercely to Swami Samartha that you need to get me out of here. Miraculously, after a while, I see when there was no one inside, and suddenly I see that there are two, police, a policeman and a police woman walking down, and I just rushed to them and I said, "Look, I didn't know, and I'm caught here. Can you please, let me out from here? I could sit with people or, wherever there is more life." And they were very accommodative. They took me out from there and they told me, you need to do the security check-in once again in the morning, but we'll take you out from here and don't worry about it. And this was really miraculous. I mean, when they had closed down all the gates and everything was, there was no life in sight, this is what happened. So I'll come back to your, the message that you were talking about. So after I talk about Archangel Michael, so angels are like God's messenger. They are on a higher plane or a realm than we are, but closer to God, right? So Archangel Michael is one of the main archangels. So once I started hosting archangels or the angels, I very strongly felt his presence or near him while meditating. He is the one who really, if you believe, if you have faith and surrender to him, he takes care of you in a way that you will never know, especially when it is to do with some fear, some illness, any obstacle, which can harm you, he will completely take care of it. So they are there. Archangels are around. You just need to invoke them through a simple prayer and through complete surrender to him. So that was about Archangel. And I've already shared, through meditation, how I overcame the fear. I remember this one more incident that I would like to share is I had gone for a trek on Simagad Road, Simagad Fort, and this was not the usual route that one takes. So we were off limits. So there was no connectivity, nothing. And we were almost completing the trek, but we were still at a spot where there was no connectivity. And I checked my phone, and suddenly there was, it started showing that there were a couple of messages. I was surprised. And I sat down, and one of my friend's niece had gone into coma. So she had an allergic attack. So she was rushed to the hospital. The doctors tried to revive her, 5 times shock, and but still she was in coma. And my friend was requesting me that, can we do something through a prayer? And I immediately started invoking the angels. I sat down there at that spot, Archangel Michael especially. Then I asked for a photo of the niece. I sent to a group of, people, and they started praying for her, and especially Archangel Michael. So this was happening around 8:15, and by 9:30 I got the message that she's revived. She's coming back to life. So this is, there are certain miracles. I mean, people would debate. So obviously there is human effort which also goes in, and we are again a form of divinity. However, we need the divine grace, the divine intervention, which enables this. So that was another miracle that I wanted to share. Third question of yours, I would like to come back to that. a lot of times what is happening is when there is a war, when there is, let us say, the pandemic that happened, we all go into the panic stage, and the thoughts or the frequencies that we start transmitting is of a very low vibration. So obviously the energy that gets collected, so it is a collective energy that we are talking about. So many people, imagine pandemic across the world, across the globe. So while we do that, what happens is all that energy, especially the negative, the dark energy, gets together, and this has a multifold effect in terms of calling for what we have been thinking. Whether it is good, whether it is bad. This is a universe of yes. So whatever we say, it gives back. And I think that is where we need to really surrender and believe in ourselves. We have lost touch with ourselves, our own intuition, our own divine power. And I saw that people who believed in that divine power, myself including myself, so we could sail through any crisis, any pandemic. So surrendering to that and completely believing in the good is what brings about the change, a good change, I would say.
Very powerful. Yeah. And especially required in today's science. Now, as we are ascending in the fifth dimension and higher, as we are raising the vibration, and the earth itself is moving into higher dimension, have you received any messages as to what are the roles of archangels, especially in this ascension? What are the roles of ascended masters?
In fact, very recently, I have, let us say, that someone, the higher power or ascended masters seek their followers, seek their devotees. And I have also been one of them. This is an age, where we are again coming so in touch with these ascended masters. And they're coming closer, is what I feel. So we need to completely give in to that rather than resisting. Of course, one can question, I'm not saying that, but once you do that, there is a lot of transformation that happens. So I was talking about the negative energy, or I myself go through a dip. I went through a dip, or you hit rock bottom, and then what happens is I feel the ascended masters really lift you up, because the energy is so powerful. I still feel that power, that it's so powerful, they lift your vibration. Because when you dip, when you are completely demotivated, not feeling good, your vibrations come down. Yeah. And how much ever you try, it's a little difficult to bounce back on your own. So the intervention from these ascended masters really help, and they get you back very fast. So they give you certain messages. So whether you call it your higher wisdom, higher self, or your ascended masters, but I find them as enablers. So I have full faith in them.
You talked about dark energies and that too collective dark energies being so much coming to surface, especially when there is panic across the world. Have you experienced any dark entities or dark energy attacks?
Yeah. So I myself have had psychic attacks, or from negative energies, and they are pretty powerful. So, but sometimes, and they used to happen to me in sleep. I didn't know what was happening till I actually read about it, and oh, okay, this was happening. So I couldn't explain what was happening to me. But yes, I have experienced that. There is presence of dark energies. I would say there is good and bad, or good and dark energy in all of us. And it is up to us. How do we, what do we let rise? What do we let just subside or fall? And that happens through the thought or the thought frequencies. The better we think, a lot of times in Hindu religion also, they talk about, during the evening, certain hours, you should always think positive, do good, speak positive, and all that. So that is when sometimes the negative energies or the frequencies are such that they can latch on to the negative part of it and can bring about the same in reality. And therefore, I think that we have to work on bringing about that goodness in our own self and letting or moving away from the dark energy in us. Because if you see, if one person in a family is down, okay, is very negative, it affects all of them. And then all that collective energy becomes, so there are 3 4 members, all their energies become negative. Yeah, so there has to be someone in the house. So if someone is down, someone in the house has to act like a powerhouse. No, come what may, I will stand, and then pass on that goodness or good frequencies to the others. That way you can sail through the crisis, I think.
Amazing. Yeah, typically what I have received feedback and I myself have experienced is empaths, especially, who are more compassionate and empathetic towards everybody. They unconsciously absorb these dark energies, and some of them can be they're called as residual energies or debris. They're not like our energies, but they latch on to us at the unconscious when we are sleeping and all that. So, what kind of energy cleansing rituals do you follow regularly?
I believe a lot into these, evening rituals. For that matter, I've also learned sound healing, but I believe in the power of, we have this bell in the puja ghar, for example. Through that vibration, you can break the monotony of the energy that is around. That is one way. I also burn white sage. So there is a, what do we call, leaves of white sage, and which you can burn, and that way you can get rid of the, what happens is over the time, if you don't move things, if you don't shake it up, the energy becomes stagnant and it forms into a negative. So obviously, because we, our thoughts are frequencies, right? So that is how it gets accumulated. So to, on a daily basis, a simple thing like ringing the bell, or burning white sage, or chanting has a lot of or saying affirmations has a lot of power. And I think that that can break the monotony of the energy. You can get rid of the negative energy that way.
Yeah, energy needs to be constantly flowing. A lot of good things for energy cleansing that people can do on daily basis. What are the spiritual practices that you follow on daily basis, and what has been your deepest, most mystical spiritual experience?
I'm not a very consistent person when it comes to following certain practices. But one thing that I do is, when I get up, or let us say any time of the day, I just try to connect with the divine. Maybe I'm sitting, I'm watching TV, but so if I'm inspired suddenly, it could be any time of the day, night or morning, I try and connect with the divine. Not all days are the same. Sometimes I'm also down and out, and I forget to do that. But when I connect, I just keep my palms open and close my eyes, and I connect. And that is the best way for me that it works. I somehow I absorb the good things through my palms. I receive good energy, and this works really well for me. I don't know, to each his own. Another very powerful diksha that I've got is through the Reiki gurus, and I think Reiki works very well in terms of connecting with the universal energy and then absorbing. You become the channel or the medium, and that energy flows through you. So even if I am not giving Reiki healing to anyone, it is for my own good also, that I most of the times I try to practice Reiki through the day. It could be as simple as, just letting it pass through, saying those 4 or 5 phrases, and that's it. So it need not be a very elaborate ritual, but as simple as connecting with your own self or centering yourself by sitting down works well. There are quite a few mystical, or let us say spiritual experiences. I am someone who senses energy or senses vibration, right? It's as simple as, like someone walks into a place, a shop, a house, and feels very good or very nice, or sometimes you don't feel so good in a place. Those are vibrations basically that act on you, and I feel them, so I can sense. Sometimes I know, okay, there is energy, or there are energies here, or I sense them in my hand. It may have come naturally, and I think Reiki has enhanced it all the more. Mystical experiences, one of them was very brilliant, and the happiest for me is I saw a rainbow. So it was raining, and then suddenly it stopped, and there was sun, and I went out in the balcony, and I saw one rainbow come out, and then another rainbow come out, and it was a double rainbow there, and I was so gleeful, blissful. And I turned back, and I was just about to enter the living room, and I could feel energy all through my body. So there was a presence of something. I could feel it. I couldn't move, so I could feel it running up and down, and like all my chakras have opened, or I didn't know what was happening. What I did was I just went and sat on the sofa in the corner, and it was still there. So it was running through me, and I was just enjoying the presence of that energy. I allowed it to happen without getting fearful, and after a while, then it started fading. Yeah. So this was one of the wonderful experiences that I've had. Mystical, if we go by that, this was the first. And what do we say? Do we call it
Clairaudience.
clairaudience, right? So that is when this was way back around 2007 when my dad passed away. Within those 40 days, there was a there was a lot of unsettling things happened during that time. There was a dispute and all that over some property, whatever. So I was sleeping. This was early hours in the morning, around 4:35, and I actually heard my dad come and say my name in the very clearly. I remember very clearly, and he telling me something about a certain dispute, and that is when I got a little shaken, because this was the first time that I could actually hear someone who was no more in that realm, in our realm. I got up. I just let it, I could hear it for a while. And then I started praying to Hanumanji. I started saying Hanuman Chalisa. And then after a while, I was centered and calm. So this was another mystical experience that happened. There are quite a few. So, but these are the two that I remember very vividly.
All along, all your life, you worked in corporate sector mainly, and on like as a facilitator trainer now. Have you got any experiences in the corporate sector which were like little different and where you could actually use your extrasensory perception like this clairaudience, clairvoyance, or intuition, so to say?
So a lot of times, see, I'm a very straightforward person. So when it comes to, the corporate setup, I'm not very comfortable. But one thing that I can tell you, that I'm a facilitator and a trainer. I conduct programs, host different programs. The best thing, my USP, is my connection with the audience or with the participants. So before I go into the training, I seek a divine intervention. I bless the participants, I bless the room, I bless the training, and I already establish a connect with the participants, and it works wonderfully. So the minute, and that is the main thing, that once you establish a connect with them, the flow goes smoothly. On the contrary, when I have been disturbed, when I could not really meditate or seek divine energy into the training, I have also experienced that it has not gone well.
Okay.
Yeah. So, yeah. This is my connection, or let us say my experience in
Okay.
the corporate.
Any specific experience, because you conduct leadership trainings specifically, any specific experiences you had with any leaders who were difficult or challenging, and then you could use your intuition or had divine intervention in those?
Yes, yes. So most of the times, when we do leadership trainings or any trainings which are meant for the higher ranking, let us say, in the ladder, definitely one comes with a lot of head weight and a lot of experience and you know with due respect to all that, it becomes a little difficult to break the barrier or to actually make them understand. And so that is when instantly I start giving good energy to the person. So when we talk about these high ranking executives, they are very closed at times, not all but some of them. And what happens is when you start giving them good energy, their receptivity goes up, and automatically then they start receiving things in a positive manner.
You had talked about connecting with ascended masters and archangels and them being in the higher realms and helping the collective, guiding us, enabling us as such. Have you experienced or have you got any messages from them as to which realm or which dimension are they from? Some say that archangels are from the ninth dimension or 10th dimension, and there are multiple theories, and people across the world have different experiences about different realms and dimensions where they come from. So because you work with ascended masters and archangels specifically,
Yeah.
and you work with them, what is your understanding about all of this?
So uh, I cannot really, I can't think of a number as to where they are, but I know for sure that there is an ultimate power, that is the ultimate truth that is there. And I feel that, let us say, archangels, or let us say the ascended masters, are transmitters, are bringing us near to that ultimate power that is there. That's the source. And definitely the ascended masters, even for that matter, Babaji and other, Swami Samarthan, they are on a different plane, and they are there. They are like omnipresent, I feel. Maybe not in their bodily form, but they are there in the energy form. Similarly, archangels are also the messengers of God, and they are there around us. So when we invoke, they're always there. You can take them along. You can sit with them, talk to them, eat with them. They are on a certain plane higher than the humans. And because they are from a different realm, we are not able to see that. Or rather, it is the limitation of our brain also, because we are not digging into the potential of our brain. Uh, but sometimes that is what I'm saying, that when you invoke, and when you invoke them, and when you are more sensitive towards the energies, you feel their energies very strongly. Like you go in a temple and you feel that, oh my God, this temple has very powerful, bahut jagruk hai. Like when you say jagruk, that means it's alive, you know. And that is where you sense the energies, because they are at a very higher frequency. And I think that is what it also has to match up to, at what frequency are you vibrating at that point of time. Sometimes you might feel that, but I might not, because I might be going through something. And you definitely feel their energies, but when you invoke them, you call for them, you will see some small miracle or some small change or something going your way when you actually pray to them. And prayers are extremely powerful. I think we should pray every day. We have forgotten to pray also. A lot of times I feel that, especially today's generation, they should pray on a regular basis. And that is how you connect. That is how you invite good energies into your life.
So you talked about the frequency being my energy, different your energy, and that can happen with all the individuals. And it is natural because we have some lessons to learn here, and we face obstacles and we face challenges, and that is why the ups and downs are very very normal and natural. Now, when you go down, when you have, like we talked about fear, but there are other emotions as well, like there is anger, jealousy, and there is sorrow, and you feel depressed at times. How can you quickly raise your vibration and come out of that?
As simple as going out in the fresh air, you know, moving away from where you are, because there is that your aura right now is not exactly is the right color, so to say. uh, Green or yellow, or you have accumulated a lot of, it could be grief, it could be something else. You have accumulated a lot of negative energy at that point of time. Best is, so they, if you've heard of bhuta shuddhi, you know, naturally whatever you can cure. So go out in the open air, get fresh air, taking a salt bath, a salt water bath, as simple as taking a shower, quickly change your mood or the energy that you have. Even prayers for that matter, but at that point of time it's a little difficult to even pray. Yeah. But this really works. And for me, activating the senses, for example, if I light agarbatti, or I ring a bell, or do a little bit of sound healing, that works really well.
So there are a few questions I ask all of my guests. I'm going to ask you that. If you were to explain the multidimensional soul or multidimensional being to any lay person or a layman, how would you explain?
A multi-dimensional soul, I think we all are multidimensional souls, is one thing that I completely believe in. It is, the multidimensional soul is someone who has activated all those, let us say, dimensions, or believes in his capabilities, or those faculties, and that is how you also activate it all the more, also through practice. So we all, I feel, are multidimensional, but in today's age, what has happened is, because we are so dependent in on the gadgets that we use, the softwares that we use, the apps that we use constantly, and we are telling ourselves that I don't need you. So any faculty that I have, for that matter, brain, the senses, the sixth sense, for that matter, we are completely ignoring it, numbing it, for that matter, and over the time we'll get rid of it. I'm it's a request to all of you, is that sometimes don't use those gadgets, for that matter, even Google, or certain app. Go with your own sense, try and develop that more. Whether it is driving to a certain place, whether it is cooking, you don't have to go by Google every time. So you need to use your own inner knowing, so to say, the higher wisdom, and you will surely, it's okay even if you don't do it perfectly, but at least you're using that sense, and that is how you activate it.
What is the ultimate purpose of life, according to you?
For me, it is, these are two things. So serving people through healing, which is my calling, and secondly, which is also I feel very strongly about, is by offering food. So these are two things that I would like to follow. That is one purpose. So it need not be just serving people, but even serving the plants, let us say, or serving the animals around you, or the birds. The second is, for me, I feel it is also important to be in alignment with the source, or going back to the source. I think we all have forgotten the main purpose of life is to be divine ourselves, divine beings, and that is what we need to go back to. So that we can go back to the source.
What is love, according to you?
Love is caring and giving, is what I feel. Therefore, I said serving, serving people, doing things for people, where you also seek blessings for your own self, and of course self-care as well. So I feel that is love for me.
And what is self-love?
Self-love is listening to your inner voice. Yeah, listening to what you need at that point of time. Sometimes, putting aside, we are also putting yourself first and putting the others. Of course, they are there, they're always there, and we would always care for our family, not that we are ignoring them. But important is also to hear your own needs, because if you keep ignoring yourself, it gets numbed, suppressed, and over the time it could also manifest as an ailment. Yeah, and that is where we need to be careful of. So don't numb your inner voice.
Louise Hay has done beautiful work on self-love. What is your parting message for our audience?
So I feel a parting message is to spread love. There's so much going on in the world because we are all away from our true self, from what we are actually. And if we start getting in touch with ourselves and believing in the goodness of each other, I'm sure we can spread love. So spread love, and let's bring about a good change here on the earth and otherwise also in the universe.
Where can people find you? How can they contact you?
So I'm present on Instagram, and I'm also present on LinkedIn.
So we'll give the links in the description. It has been amazing having you on this podcast and talk show. Lovely to have you. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Akanksha. Wonderful. Thank you so much.